Hey guys, Matt CRC speaking. Thanks for watching or listening to this newsletter 2021. Yes, 2021. I was just looking at the last newsletter. Turns out it was posted back in July 2020, so that's like a full year. And that's really bad, really bad communication. So definitely lots of things to catch up. I realized that over a year we have a lot of new members here, a lot of new pilots that maybe not know what has been in place or what has been changed since a year. I started to work on this newsletter by just writing down a little bit of the ideas I wanted to talk about today, and it turns out I ended up with like 4 pages. So please stick with me. There's a lot of things going on, but hopefully it's not gonna be too much and too long. I'm gonna try to avoid death by PowerPoint here, and I don't have like 100 slides or anything, so don't worry. I'm gonna talk a lot though, so you might be bored about that. Let's start with this beautiful picture that Fadalbert sent me. I think it's what he told me. That's a friend of his that actually took this beautiful picture. I love it. I want to use it all the time for these video presentations and visual newsletters. Sorry. So let's enjoy before we actually go to the next slide, which is the agenda. All right, so as I said, a lot of things going on here. Obviously, the background picture is perfect to introduce the elephant in the room here. That is the introduction of AH64D Apache by ED, by DCS. And that's going to be a part of the discussion here, or how it's going to work and how we're going to do it for integrating this new helicopter in the squad organization. The next thing would be to talk about the UOH. So, I mean, I put like US OH Platoon, which has been so far the most problematic. But generally speaking, how we are seeing the OH operations. Because I've seen a lot of things here going on Discord, guys. A lot of rumors here. And I really need to put some of the things straight here. No worry. Next point will be the staffing, a little bit of what we've been doing, the issue with facing, and share a little bit the situation with you guys. A quick reminder on the guidelines and the BSD guidelines, because I realized, like with all the new guys, not everyone might have been willing or might have been knowing that we got some guidelines here. We got a document that kind of explain how things are working here at BSD, and we're going to go through some of the frequently asked questions that I have seen on Discord so far. And talking about Discord, here you go, Discord server, more like a news, because there's not a lot of big issue on Discord so far, but we're gonna see a little bit of what happened so far on Discord. Next thing is the BSD website, very quickly. Then we talk about social media and people working on that. I really want to have a moment for a shout out to the BSD creators, so that kind of encompasses a lot of things, a lot of people, and a lot of different aspects of DCS. And I really want to highlight their work, because they are the guys who make this squadron work and great. We're gonna end up with 2 really quick things, like the BSD movie that has been I've been kind of trying to launch for a few months now, and where we're going, and the BSD in-person meeting, by the way. So we have to just remind that you guys, we have been planning to see you guys in Pensacola this coming November, mid-November, but I talk about this at the end. The Apache on DCS. So wow, I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting this. I don't know if any one of you guys were really expecting this. To me, having the Mi-24 out this year, it's already quite something, after flying helicopters, like 4 helicopters for so many years. I couldn't imagine having a second helicopter the same year. Even next year, I didn't think the 64 will be out anytime soon. So that's that's a great thing. I mean, I don't know what's going on with ED, but like, helicopters is a thing now for 2021. So that's fantastic. Really excited. I think the hype about the 64 is about as big as a surprise when we got the announcement. So with that much hype about the 64 comes also a lot of excitement, and it's getting a little bit feverish. I don't know if you guys saw that on BSD Discord. There's a lot of questions, a lot of people more or less freaking out about things they heard about how the 64 is going to be integrated, who's going to be able to fly this, blah blah blah, and we got this, okay. It's going to be a challenge, but we have people here who got the experience of the 24. I know it's a recent experience, but I think the way we integrated the 24 was pretty good, and we're gonna certainly do the same thing for the 64. I'm gonna just show you how it works for the 24 in case you guys missed it. We're gonna do exactly the same, and I think it's gonna debunk a lot of rumors that I've been hearing or reading on Discord. All right, so this is how it's gonna work for the 64, and it's exactly how we did for the Mi-24. You have a new helicopter, so obviously no one knows how it works. But if you want to create a new platoon, you want to make sure you have the right structure within the platoon. So the right structure means you have a platoon leader and a few IPs or UTs, but at least IPs, to initiate some kind of training and have the training program set up. So it kind of makes sense for everyone. The initial IP we're going to call for volunteers, and we're going to call for volunteers most likely among the RL1s AH, because that's the easiest population, I would say, to get up to speed with the 64, because they already train in the attack techniques and in tactics and all this kind of thing, right? So I know it's not going to be exactly the same, for example, between the 24 and the 64, but that's the closest we can get. The volunteers means we're going to try to get maybe 5 to 6 people if we can. I don't know if we're going to have enough people, but hopefully, it would be great to have at least 2 IPs per region for the 64. We're going to call them as the volunteers because they have to work their ass off for maybe the next 3 to 4 weeks to get an understanding on how the 64 module is working, and making sure we can open this platoon in the best conditions possible. Okay, so we have the structure now. We're going to open this to the next guys, and we're going to take the ones that are the easiest to train for the existing IP, and that's going to be people already in the AH company, whether it's RL1 or RL2, right? So we're going to have those guys, whoever wants to transfer from K50 or Mi-24 to the 64, just like the 24. I'm gonna send you guys a shout to say, hey, the platoon is open. H guys who wants to fly the 64, you're welcome, and we'll see how many people here are joining, and based on the number, we'll be moving on to the next stage. And the next stage, I think logically, are the guys from the other companies, and it's not like it's going to take weeks between the moment we opening the platoon to the AH guys to the moment we opening the platoon to the other company. So don't freak out, guys. I take the example of the 24. We didn't have that many transfer to do. I think about 24 hours later, we had the platoon for the 24 open to the rest of the pilots on BSD. I don't know how it's going to work, if it's going to be that fast for the 64, but I assume it's going to be about the same. So another shout on Discord, hey guys, whoever is not AH wants to join the 64 platoon, raise your hand. And once we got this, we'll gauge for a few days or maybe a week or two if The workload is okay for the IPs, and I guess it's gonna take some time because there's gonna be a massive amount of people who wants to fly the 64. So if you get initially 2 IPs, that's gonna be a little bit tense. So we have to see how things are working before we can actually move on to the phase 4, that is to take trainees and opening it to new guys. And for the 24, we had to create a waiting list for the new registrant. And it kind of worked all right. I mean, for the guys who were really motivated to fly the 24, they waited. They waited a few days, waited a few weeks for some of them. And the most motivated ones, they got on board after a few days. So that's going to be how it works for the 64. Last stage, opening to trainees and external guys from BSD. So that's it. We are at a stage where we have the platoon leaders. So we have Statua for the 64 platoon on the US side, and we have Arcani on the EU side. We have the SP. We have already a lot of people working on this, to be honest. Like Fargo is already supporting the way it's going to be deployed because he's got already, but first he's AH, and secondly he's got a lot of experience because he worked like crazy also, as well as Mo on the deployment of the 24. So we kind of using him on and his experience to transfer this experience to the 64. Overall, I hope it kind of clears things up for you guys. I hope it kind of remove or debunked the some of the myth I've been hearing, like, oh, you cannot fly the 64 if you're not Aero 1. I mean, that's absurd. I think the miscommunication is coming from this set of initial IPs that we want to get first. But that's the way it worked previously. The 64 platoon, once we got the structure in place, it's just going to be like any other platoon. If you want to fly the 64, and if it's okay to have new guys, then you're more than welcome. There's not going to be any difference because it's a 64. It's not going to be any different from the Huey or the MI8. Okay, so no worry about that. Next bullet point on the agenda, we're going to talk about OH. Maybe more specifically about the OH US platoon, but I mean everything about OH, and that's quite a big bullet point. Let's talk about the US OH platoon. So the US Gazelle platoon that has been flatlining literally for a long time, a really long time. Unlike, by the way, the EU one. And again, kudos to really engaged people. I'm thinking about Latio. I'm thinking about DJ, for example. I'm certainly missing a lot of guys also, but the EU Gazelle platoon has been doing great. They had trainings, they had missions. Unlike the US, that has been really not doing much. Mostly about training. There has been really training going on, and it's been heavy on people. Many reasons, I would say. The 2-3 main reasons. The first one is being the lack of engagement of the platoon leader, and I can say that because I was a platoon leader for the Gaz on the US side, and I really sucked at this job. So I fired myself, and Guinness was kind enough to volunteer on this job, and he's got the really challenging task, I would say, to reactivate this platoon. The second reason that has been really acute on the US side, and I don't think I'm gonna surprise anyone about this, but obviously we don't have the Kiowa. And I think it's fair to assume that most, if not all, the pilots who joined the Gazelle US platoon were expecting to transition to the Kiowa by the end of year 2020. So you know the story, guys. The Kiowa never showed up on 2020 at the end of the year 2020. We got some hopes for maybe April 2021. Didn't happen, and then Polishop went into complete radio silence, and that has been really, really heavy on the people who were so much expecting to fly this helicopter, including me, by the way. So just when you think things couldn't get worse, I would say yes, it did, because the Apache showed up, and I mean, at first they go fine. I mean, it makes all sense. We're going to get the 58 as an OH, and it's going to work nicely together with the AH 64. And yeah, I mean, it made all sense to me also, and I thought, yeah, that's going to be like this. But again and again, we've been waiting for any news on the Kiowa, and we started to have some guys say, look, I mean, why are we sticking with the Kiowa? We don't know when it's going to come up. And why don't we have the 64 as a recon platform? And at first I was like, yeah, no way it's going to work. I don't like this. I mean, the AH is an AH. The OH is an OH. So there's no reason to have the 64 in the OH. So it has been quiet for a few months, and then it came back up because still absolutely no news from the 58. So the question of having the H64 as an OH platform came back, and this time we took the question at the high command level, and we discussed with the guys, and there's been some really good case. I would say one is if you think about it in real life, when the Kiowa was removed from service, at least in the US. The guys who used to fly the Kiowa, the pilots who used to fly the Kiowa, has been transferred to the 64, as far as I know. So yes, and yes, the 64 can do OH work also. They have an amazing array of sensors. So anyway, long story short, we accepted at the high command that we're gonna have the 64 as an OH platform also, as long as the 58 is not showing up. Is it going to be a temporary measure when we're going to let OH pilots fly the 64 until the 58 showed up, or is it going to be a permanent solution where we're going to have an OH company with 64s and 58? I'm not sure, to be honest. So let me share with you guys why I sound a little bit like 50-50 on the 64. Although it's acted like we're gonna have the 64 on the OH, so don't worry. But why I'm so about the 64 on the OH side is I believe it's gonna be great for the guys flying the 64, and actually I'm kind of excited to fly the 64 also. But I think we might be opening a whole can of worms here, like several cans of worms actually. The first can of worms that I can see is the one about the never-ending discussions around the multi-role helicopters. You always every 2-3 weeks you always have someone coming up and say, hey, my 24, it can do transportation, it can transport people, so it should be an UH also. We should have Mi-24 in the UH. Or we're going to come up with, I don't know, the Mi-8 guys who say, hey, I can shoot rockets with my Mi-8, so, there should be Mi-8 in the AH. For the oldest guy who's been flying here since the beginning, you remember how it went. We basically started with no trainings whatsoever, so it was just like, hey, you show up and you fly whatever helicopter you want. Then we looked at structuring a little bit more the trainings, because some people were just looking for trainings, and we created a very generic training program that was kind of addressing everything. As we grew, some people were saying like, oh, I'm flying on the Huey, so this generic training doesn't make sense. I don't care about the patterns for attacking something or whatever. So okay, so fair enough, and we came up with this idea of setting up a training around the roles, so we could specialize a little bit more the UH guys, and we didn't have to train the K50 guys on how to land on a tight LZ to pick up people. Then we began to have more and more helicopters. I mean, more and more. Yeah, we began to hope for more and more helicopters per role. So we moved forward, and per request, we created platoons per helicopter type, because each helicopter is having its own little differences. So if we are starting to listen to the multi-role guys, well, we're basically going to end up by almost merging every training programs that we did, putting everything in it, and ending up with a generic training program, just what we used to have back in 2017 or something. This new generic training program will be about twice as long as the ones we have right now, and I can already hear people complaining about, hey, why should I learn attack patterns? I'm flying only the Huey. That's the only thing I'm interested in, is basically picking up people and dropping them off on tight LZ and transporting troops or cargo. The other reason why I want to stick with the roles is for the mission designers. When you have a role-based structure for the mission designer, it's a lot easier to build his mission in order to feed the pilots with tasks that they like to do the most, but also tasks they are really good at. I can design a mission for the Mi-24 to do troop transports for the entire length of the mission, but I had the feeling that I'm not going to be very popular among the AH guys if I keep doing this, because I know that the AH guys didn't sign up into the AH platoon to do troop transport. They want just to shoot things up. Now, don't get me wrong about this. Not because you're flying a 24 and it's an AH helicopter that will never ask you as mission designer to do troop transport. Actually, the mission designer is free to do whatever he wants and ask whatever he wants. And if he wants you guys to bring troops, he's perfectly allowed to do that. Same for every other helicopters. You might, take the risk and say, look, I need in my story those Huey to take down an entire convoy, and that's perfectly fine. And you know what? I was just thinking that maybe that would be actually something we should do. Let's task those 24 guys to do some sling loads for a couple of missions, and maybe that would end once and for all those discussions about multi-role helicopter. The second can of worms, I don't know if it's can of worms, I would say the second potential for drama is we starting to see, on one hand, we're seeing the AH guys say, hey, I mean, if an OH guy is tasked with a recon mission, what would prevent him from doing also the AH task? Because after all, it will be loaded with I don't know how many Hellfires. So what, once he's doing his recon, then what would prevent him from engaging targets when I am supposed to engage targets? The funny thing is, on the OH side, I'm seeing exactly the opposite, which is fun, because you see the OH guys say, well, I mean, with this 64, what would prevent the AH guy from doing the OH work? Because they're gonna have those amazing array of sensors and radars and TAS and all these kind of things. So how are you gonna prevent those AH guy from doing our job? And my answer to that is whatever if you're an OH or an AH, what you're gonna do is what the mission designer or the air mission commander wants you to do. All right, so this is not about what you can do. It's like if you're flying a mission, if your task, you have an OH task, and you're flying the 64, you have an OH task, you're going to do OH. You're going to do recon. Maybe you're going to do an arm recon. That's whatever the mission designer or again the MC wants. And the same applies to AH. So what each of you guys will be doing with the 64 is up to the one who designed the mission. That's my answer, all right? I think the other worry about this is the persistent campaign. From what I understood, is say, okay, if you got an AMC that requires an attack, how would you prevent an OH guy flying the 64 to do these air mission requests? And I think that comes up to, we're not in a kindergarten here, so it's up to the responsibility of each of us, and playing smart and playing fair. Okay, so I see a bunch of dramas coming up here, but that's one of the things that make me hesitate a little bit about the 64 having a dual role. All right, enough with the 64. Let's close this OH discussion. Okay, so next bullet point, we're going to talk about BSD staffing. A few announcements. You guys have seen we have a new high command member with Gizmo, which I think he's doing a great job, and I'm really also very happy to have a EU member at high command, because it gives us a little bit of perspective from the European side. Not a news, but just a reminder that we now have 3 guys for as an SP. So the SPs are the guys who are defining the program, so the task list for each helicopters. DJ is dealing with the CTLs for the OH helicopters. Memphis is dealing with the UH CTLs, MI8s and Huey, and Gunslinger is dealing with the AH CTLs, and I think he's going to need a little bit of help. I think Fog also is supporting this because well, it's going to be a lot of new helicopters here on the H side, so that's the thing going on SP. I mentioned the platoon leaders, Arcani and Statua for the 64s. What else? Yes, well, important. Yeah, I know. Yes, we do have a shortage of IPs. We know about this. We're working on this. Like we got MEA, for example, who volunteer is a new K50 IP. We have a good backlog on the K50 training, so MEA will deal with that. Thanks, MEA, by the way. Guinness is working on the Gazelle US side and trying to recruit some UT or maybe some IP. So if you think you're interested, please contact Guinness for that. On the short term, in terms of mitigation for to address a shortage of IP, we allowed on a case by case, but a little bit of flexibility here for the IP. So it's not because we have I mean, you are an IP for the K50 that you probably can do an intro flight on the Huey, for example, right? So, or check out some task 1000, for example, on I don't know, the Gazelle, maybe, because you know the Gazelle anyway. So we are offering a little bit. Let's be pragmatic here and not be too stubborn, and let's give a little bit of flexibility to the IP. If the IP is willing to help, although it's not necessarily his own company or platoon, we're taking any help. So an AH guy, an HIP, if he wants to help for a new guy coming on the UH or on the OH, I don't know, that's perfectly okay. Just give us a shout, and it's not a problem. All right, I think that's all on the BSD staffing I wanted to tell you guys. Next bullet point on the agenda, it's called BSD Guidelines. Maybe I should have named it like frequently asked questions. Although it's not always questions, it can be questions, concerns, or complaints, and I'm gonna use this part for answering maybe the top 3 or 4 questions / complaints / concern that I've been reading on the BSD Discord server. So before we're going into the questions, I'd like to remind you guys that we do have a guide for BSD, and it's called BSD Guide. How original. I think the latest version is 3.03. So for those of you guys who have been flying or starting to fly with us recently, you just log in on the website, go to the library under docs, and you got BSD Guide 3.03. And if you're interested, you also have the BSD IP guidelines. It's not restricted to the IP, but it's a little bit of recommendations or guidelines we're having for IPs. But if you're not an IP, you can be interested also. Once again, 99% of the time, my answer to many questions or concerns should be read the manual. All right, BSD Guide 3.03 on the BSD library on the website. So the BSD Guide is not a frozen document. Obviously, we are version 3.03. We are adding some stuff from time to time, some minor changes when it comes to issues from new features maybe from DCS, and I'm thinking about the latest revision, because we had to add and worked on the Multicrew operations. Or maybe some of the question we got cannot be fully answered because of the lack of some maybe precisions in the guide. So we're doing minor changes along the year, and once a year we're trying to have a large meeting with everyone. So like everyone, we're having most of the time a meeting with the leaders, high command and IPs, but we're asking the leaders to gather a little bit the feedback from the pilots and the trainees about what worked and what was not so good during the previous year, and trying to summarize this and see if we can do something to improve the way BSD works. And that's usually when the major change occurs on the BSD guide. But that's really once a year. Like, we're not going to do major changes every 2 weeks. So I understand that having a 12 pages, I think it's 12 pages rule book or rule document for what is basically playing video games doesn't sound very fun or very appealing. What you guys need to understand, I mean, all of you understand that we are a community here and we are growing really, really fast. We're having everyday new people coming from different horizons, different countries, different cultures, different sensitivities. And at some point, we need a reference point, a written reference point. And that's going to be the guide. We don't want to come up with situations like behavior that are kind of killing the fun for everyone, or platoons coming up with their own rules, or all this kind of thing. We want to have a reference of the things you can do, the things you cannot do, that applies to everyone. Again, that applies to trainees, that applies to pilots, leaders, and high command, SP and IP, everyone. All right, so let's move on to the questions, or maybe more the complaints sometimes that I'm reading on BSD. Just want to answer them. One of the most common complaints that I've been reading is BSD is not fun because I can only fly one helicopter. So the irony of this complaint is that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it's coming from people that are actually flying on fixed wing squadrons also. And those fixed wing squadrons do not allow their pilots to fly on different platforms. And it seems to be okay for everyone. I actually don't know any squadrons, I don't know all the fixed wing squadrons, but I don't know any squadrons who actually allow their pilots to fly one mission on the A-10, the other mission on the F-18, and then the last one on the MiG-21, for example. And I haven't seen much complaint about that, so why complaining about being stuck on one chopper? My answer to this assumption is that it is completely wrong. You actually can fly pretty much any chopper that you want on BSD. The only constraint that we're putting on you guys is you cannot be more than RL2 on a helicopter that does not belong to your company. What it means, like if you're flying an AH helicopter today, you're perfectly allowed to become an RL1 on the K50 and the Mi-24 and the AH-64 if you want, assuming you have enough time to fly the 3 helicopters at least once a month. Now, if you want to fly another helicopter, say you're a 24 pilot, but from time to time you'd like to fly the Huey, that is perfectly fine, except that we're going to limit your progression no further than RL2. The reason behind it is that when we are calling for RL1 pilots on BSD, we want to make sure that we're getting the most proficient and the most current pilots for one given platform or for one given role. We do not believe that it is possible to be 100% proficient and current on all the helicopters that DCS offers. The differences between an RL2 and an RL1 in terms of privilege is that the RL1 will systematically be asked to lead the flight if we're looking for a flight leader in a mission. If you're RL1 and everyone else is RL2, you're going to be asked to lead the flight. The second thing about being an RL1 is basically being allowed to fly multi-squadrons event. I think it makes sense. I hope you understand that if we are setting up an event or we are invited by another squadron to perform a mission, we want to make sure we have the best guys here, and we're not going to come up with some, poorly trained people that are basically crashing the entire event. Today, about, I would say, 90 to 95% of the missions we are flying at BSD are open to RL2. So it's quite rare to have a mission restricted to RL1s. And we didn't have that many multi-squadron event lately for the last couple of months. We are going to have new multi-squad event. I know some of you guys working with CSG1 today to have a new multi-squad event, but that's really a small number. Second statement that I want to answer to is that it is okay to show up unregistered at a mission. My answer to that is wrong. It is a lack of respect to the mission designer to show up unregistered. The vast majority of the missions or the combat mission requires you to register on the website for any given mission. You are usually designing a mission with a certain amount of pilots in mind. So if you're designing a mission where you need 10 pilots or 15 pilots and only 7 are showing up, you're going to have to do some last minute change in the mission or change the objectives, change the briefing, all this kind of thing. If you have a mission designed for 10 pilots and there's actually 25 guys showing up at your mission, then you have a problem also, and you probably have to redesign your mission, and that's a lot of work. If the mission is designed to be an open mission, which is quite complicated to do, but we do have sometimes this kind of mission, and it's explicitly said into the briefing. So you have to go to the briefing. You have to make sure that it is clearly stated, open mission. You don't need to register. Show up at the time you like, and I give you something to do. All right, but that's less than 5% of the mission we're doing. In any case, the mission designer or the AMC, which are so often the same person, have full authority to accept or deny the participation of an unregistered pilot to a mission that was requesting registration. All right, third statement, flight time in persistent campaigns should be counted even when flying alone. There can be a lot of discussion about this. At the end of the day, our position here at High Command is no, you can't. The way flight hours I counted on the logbook are clearly explained in the BSD guide. The only hours you can add in your logbook are the hours you are spending with another BSD pilot on a server. It doesn't need to be server 1, server 2, or server 3. It can be any server. As long as you're doing this flight with another BSD pilot, you're flying together, then you can count the hours. Like if you're flying on your own, training on your own on a server, or even flying the persistent campaign on your own, performing some AMRs, no, you cannot add those hours to your flight to your logbook. Okay, so the last statement I'd like to reply is I can fly an RL2 mission if I am an RL3, but as a crew member. The answer to this is really it depends, and the detail on this is on the BSD guide, the latest version. It's all about this new multi-crew capability of the helicopters. To sum it up, really, what we did is we define what we are calling critical multi-crew position and non-critical multi-crew position. Critical multi-crew position are the ones like the front seat of an Mi-24 or the left seat of an SA-342. If you have no idea of what you're doing and you're sitting here as a weapon officer, there are very, very high chances that the mission will not be completed successfully. Now, if you are sitting in the engineer seat of an MI8 or even the side gunner as a side gunner on a Huey. Even if you're really bad at this, the outcome of the mission shouldn't be too much impacted. And that's going to be the non-critical position in a multi-crew helicopter. So the answer is, if you want to sit in a non-critical position, yeah, you can have an aerial readiness level that is below what is required for the mission. If you want to sit in a critical position, then you need to have at least the minimum readiness level that is required for the mission. Next point, Discord. And I will start with a really, really good surprise that I had from a few weeks ago, I think, when we reached level 3, which means we had a lot of people. We had 13 people total that boosted the server, and I want to thank them. And I'm even going to name them because I have the list right beneath my eyes here. I really, really want to thank the Nitro Boosters, Lenny, Steelskin, Hollywood BP, Juice, Wiseko, Specfire, Fatalbert, Molvich, Fargo, Eagle, Smokey, and Memphis. All those guys sent their own boosters to BSD, and it unlocked tons of perks for everyone. Really, really cool one. High quality audio, video, 100 megabytes limit for any upload for everyone. That was a really, really good surprise. So thank you guys again. Otherwise, not so much about Discord. I think we reached a point where everyone is satisfied and happy with the way it's organized. I didn't get any requests for quite some time now about having to add a new channel or anything. So I think we are at a good point here. From a moderation perspective, I think it's good. Of course, we always had from time to time the guy posting some jet fighter things, so fixed wing stuff on the wrong channel. But it's not out of control. I think the discipline is good on Discord. I haven't seen much drama, not a lot of them at least. So pretty good job, guys. On the website side, I think it's also going pretty well. I haven't seen any major complaint about the new design that Flappy and Molvich deployed this year. I think it's a massive improvement from the previous design. Obviously, we brought huge improvement for the mission rosters. We added the capability to limit the number of people per flight. We added a waiting list. We added rights for the owner of the mission to add or remove registrants if they want. We added the capability for the registrant to cancel its registration with automatic email sent to the mission designer. It still doesn't manage the time zones. I know that's probably the biggest problem remaining. I've been talking to the dev of the tool that we're using for this mission roster. He's telling me that he's working on something. He gave me 3 months before he could do something. I'm not sure he's going to do it, but at least we have something to hope for. So maybe never know. Maybe at some point we get a new system or an improvement of the current system that might be able to manage the time zone. That would be really cool. The forum is still pretty much unused, but for the introductions, okay. I think I insisted enough, so I'm going to let it die here. Obviously, Discord is a lot sexier than using the forum. But again, if you think you want to keep something and not seeing it disappeared in the many channels of Discord, I strongly advise you to use the forum. We have website backups every day, so it's a lot safer than Discord. But anyway, that's fine. We have a new structure for the menus. I think it's going well. The library module has been completely changed and reorganize. We even have specific libraries per platoon, which are manageable by the platoon leaders. We have this new CTL system that has been customized and specifically developed by Flappy for BSD, which I think also is working pretty well. And again, let's keep in mind that I want to maintain the website as a reference for, let's say, the readiness levels of the people. It's where everything is backed up and recorded. Okay, it's not really on Discord. It's on the website. BSD, YouTube, and Facebook. So let's start with Facebook because I really want to give a big shout out to DJ and Fat Albert for taking care of this page. Those two guys are admin now for Facebook, the BSD Facebook, and since they're taking care of this page, the traffic and the amount of people visiting this page have been literally exploding. So awesome work, guys! Great work on this Facebook page. It definitely increased the visibility here that we have thanks to you guys. The BSD YouTube channel is going well. It's going strong. As a reminder for the new guys here, the way it works is I basically allow anyone flying at BSD to upload videos. So anyone who's regularly creating videos and wants to show them on the BSD YouTube can have admin rights to upload the videos. And we already do have a lot of contributors here, so it's got a decent amount of videos, and I just want to highlight the latest one. I want to highlight Statua's work on mission design. Statua has provided an insane amount of work on 3 videos and presentation that are available on the library, by the way, guys, on how to design mission. It's really high quality work. And I strongly advise anyone into designing missions or wanting to design mission to have a look at this. I mean, if you got those 3 videos and you're looking at the presentation, at the slides, it's gonna be a tremendous support and help to design your first mission. So again, thank you for Statua to provide such a great amount and quality work here for BSD. Talking about mission design, special highlight here for the BSD creators. BSD creators are a big part of what I call the BSD contributors. It's basically the BSD contributors are the BSD creators and the instructors, and without whom nothing would really work at BSD. So we highlight to the instructor for spending so much of their free time to train our guys here. We're not paying them, and they're sharing a tremendous amount of knowledge with everyone. And also highlights, as I say, to the BSD creators for doing some key supporting some key elements of BSD. I'm thinking about a lot of people here. I'm thinking about the persistent campaign. I'm thinking on this persistent campaign about Fargo, obviously Reed, Statua, and Arcani, who are always working on improving the persistent campaign, updating it, creating new AMRs, managing this, making the map evolved. It's a great success. It changed in a way a lot how BSD is working. And the amount of flights that we have thanks to the persistent campaign. So really great success here. I know Fargo and Statua are also working on an evolution of CTLD. CTLD is like the key. It's everything that DCS miss for helicopter operation, right? I'm not saying that. Well, yeah, I'm saying that there's no helicopter mission with CTLD. Basically, I don't think it's too strong. And Fargo and Stadia. I mean, I know Fargo is working on a new version of CTLD based on different set of scripts that seems to be awesome. Like, I don't want to spoil anything here, but it's going to be even better than the current CTLD that we have. Let me tell you, the CTLD that you guys are working with right now have nothing to do with the initial CTLD. It's like 10 times more powerful. And again, just want to highlight the amazing work that Fargo and Statue have been doing on this. What else? I need to, and I cannot forget anyone. Well, I mean, mission designer, I already started with the mission design, but I mean, we always need more mission designer. It's super important. Hence, you know, my highlight on Statua's work. We do have a lot of content to help you guys to jump into mission design, because we really need new mission designer all the time. But we do have some very talented one that is, by the way, always ready to help the new ones. I'm thinking about Memphis, Latio, Statua, Fargo for creating absolutely amazing missions here. And I'm sorry for the ones I forgot, but definitely awesome work here. Statua again, well, Statua is everywhere, man. He's doing a lot of things here. Statua for the new BSD skins, guys. I mean, those skins are amazing. I love each of them, and Statua has been working on every helicopter. Now he needs to work on the 64 now. I mean, it's not out, so it's fine. But yeah, Statua has been redesigning and creating absolutely new skins customized for BSD. It replaced the ones that were some of the ones he did, also that the ones that TNT made. I mean, we can change from time to time the BSD skin. It doesn't need to be the same skins all the time. But the ones that Statua has been doing for all the choppers have been very well received and pretty awesome. A big thank you also to Drummer, by the way. Drummer for the mods. Like he created some specific mods for BSD that we are using every day. And whenever the new patches from DCS are coming and breaking the mods, he's always very quick to come back to those mods and try to correct them. So thanks to Drummer for this. Since we talked about the mission, let's talk about the servers. Quick reminder, we got 3 servers here, guys. 2 servers running 24/7. Server 1 running the persistent campaign all the time. Server 2 is usually running the training mission, and when it's not running the training mission, it's running the customized missions that you guys are creating. And we have a third server, server 3, that can run on demand if required. They are normally updated very quickly whenever there's a new patch here. So server 1 is managed by Fargo. I manage the server 2, and Fargo and I have control over the server 3 is required. So if it needs to be activated, you can contact either me or Fargo to activate server 3. For the new guys, you do have a tutorial on how to use server 2 if you want to load up a mission. So there's a small script running where you can load up a mission on server 2 directly using Google Drive. And a set of commands you can run within the server, like when you are on the training server, to launch the mission. So check out on the forum, there's a tutorial section, and in this tutorial section you have a full explanation on how you guys can upload and run any mission you want on server 2. You don't need to be high command leaders, whatever. Even if you're a trainee and you have a mission you like to run, you can do that. Again, same thing for mission design. There's no minimum level of seniority required to propose a mission. If you are a new guy, AL3 with 2 hours on your logbook, and you have a mission you'd like to fly with the other people, please do so. If you are not a mission designer but you still want to run missions on server 2, that's also perfectly doable. You don't need to be a mission designer to run missions on server 2, and that kind of applies to. I've seen a few complaints about people not happy because most of the missions are maybe not exactly at the time they can fly, or not exactly at the day they can fly. I would advise to people who are a little bit frustrated because they don't always have the right time and the right day for the missions, to reuse the old missions. Like you can get those missions back. It's on your, if you flew this mission, it's on your hard drive. You can take them, re-upload them on server 2 and run them at a time and day that you like. Put a mission on the roster on the website. Say, hey, I'm rerunning this mission. I'd like to have a few guys joining up, and here you go. You can do that. No excuse here. Even if you don't know how to design mission, you can reuse the old ones and schedule them at a time that better suits you. And I'm pretty sure you're going to find people who would like to fly again this mission. The BSD Movie 2021 project. I don't know if you've seen the promotion video that we did back in 2018, I think already. The idea was to do a new one, so we used this promotion video quite a lot for BSD in 2019 also. I was thinking of doing a new one in 2020, but then we say, okay, you know what, I mean, we're gonna have a new helicopter. Actually, we were expecting to have the 58, so we say let's wait for the 58 to do like a brand new promotion video. And then you know what happened. Nonetheless, we now do have the 24, and we soon gonna have the 64. So I really like to reactivate this project here. I've been successful so far. We'll see if we can push this project again. Probably gonna be a little bit more involved in this one now. And again, the idea is to create a really short video, no more than maybe 2 minutes. With pretty cool scenes and use that as a promotion video for Black Shark Den. The first one we did back in 2018 was featured on ED Newsletter, by the way, so it was a great success, awesome reconnaissance from ED. So maybe we're going to do the same thing. Hopefully we might be able to do the same quality video, or even better, because now we have really good guys at video editing. For the 2021, hopefully it's not going to be the 2022 version. For this type of video. And the last bullet point we have here is the BSD in-person meeting for 2021, which is gonna happen on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of November this year in Pensacola, Florida. So the idea is really, the 12th is a Friday, so we have everyone. The idea is to have everyone showing up on Friday, spending a great night together on the 12th. Saturday the 13th, traveling up to Fort Ruggers, at least visiting the Army Helicopter Museum, maybe more if we can, and heading back the same day. It's not a long trip here. 14th is a Sunday. We'll allow everyone to head back home and get back to work on Monday morning. There's already going to be a few people going there. Pensacola is where Fargo is living, by the way, so they're going to be Fargo. Me obviously coming. We gonna have maybe Gizmo. I know BK should be coming also. Who register, or Simeon I think is coming. It doesn't matter if like you're an old timer of BSD, if you're like a brand new guy. Actually, I really enjoy seeing every guy flying at BSD, being able to see their face and talk to them. It's always a great experience. It's great fun. I guess we're going to talk about the helicopters, obviously, but it's always, I mean, if you guys can make it and if you can afford it, that would be awesome to see you guys there in Pensacola, Florida, mid-November 12, 13, and 14. So keep that in mind. And I think that's all I have for you guys today. And it's already been an hour I'm talking to you, so thank you so much for sticking with me that long. I hope you did get some piece of information here that gives you a better understanding of where we are and where we're going. I'm definitely looking forward to flying with you guys again online. Please take care and see you soon. Bye.